Hello and welcome to the StreamKick Podcast. I am beyond excited about this episode. So excited I can't talk because we have a very special guest joining us. So let's get down to business. I'm your host, Camper, and tonight I'm joined by the randonaut himself, RoboKast.
Dude, I wish I wouldn't have told you about that. The app is so weird.
We'll do a whole episode about it. I need to know more. And our guest for this show is a big fan of explosions. He is the VR king of YouTube because he never puts down his Oculus. MeLikeBigBoom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. So
yeah,
we kind of like to just get right into things on this show. But before we do that, it would be awesome if you could just spend a couple minutes and just tell us about yourself, and then we'll dig right in. So tell us a little about who you are, what you do, and why people should care.
Well, my channel name is MeLikeBigBoom. I mean, I started in 2012. I mean, my real life name is Tyler, and I live in Portland. But I started my YouTube channel when I was a freshman in high school. It definitely started as a hobby, and it still is a hobby. It's just something that I try to financially support myself so that I can continue to have it be my hobby. But it started as posting videos of stuff that I enjoyed. And, you know, that obviously turned into stuff like Unturned that I'm sure Robo has talked about before. And and then eventually moved on to bigger and better things, personally, at least in my opinion, to stuff like VR, and then now to streaming or whatever it is. But the channel's at 1.2 million subscribers. I mean, I've just started on Twitch. It's at 50-something thousand followers. But for the most part, it's just having fun on the internet, I'd say.
Well, that is awesome, man. There's a lot of stuff to dig into and unpack there. I was doing a little bit of research before the show, and I have a ton of questions for you. I think your channel, number one, is super interesting. Obviously, you wouldn't have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube if your channel wasn't good. But I would just pop in and just watching, just literally just clicking random videos, not even trying to pay attention, just click something and see what happens. And I didn't see a single thing in there that wasn't hilarious or fun or just awesome to watch. So if you're listening to this, definitely check out his channel. It's MeLikeBigBoom, and we'll have that all linked up in the show notes and everything so you can find it. But really, really awesome content in there. So Robo, you and Robo are actually buddies, right? You guys have known each other for a little while?
Yeah, a fair amount. I mean, before we just happened to meet at E3 because I didn't even think we planned on going there together. It just happened to be
you told me you weren't even going, and then next thing you know, I'll tell
because I didn't know I was going.
Yeah, so like I've known Tyler on the internet like for a while. We didn't really talk a whole lot, but like I think we were like aware of each other, and like we were in the same community, so we weren't like, you know, hanging out all the time, but again, we did know each other.
The unturned community, right?
Yeah, like we followed each other on Twitter. That was about
that was it.
You know, we checked in, and anything that was new, big happening in the community, we'd ping pong off each other. But
yeah, but no, this guy shows up to E3. So I had him on Snap. And I sent him a message and I was like, yo, are you going to E3? I was just reaching out to like any YouTubers that I knew because I was there. And he's like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Okay. And then he texts me and he's like, hey, can you go over to the Facebook booth and pick up something for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm in line right now though. Or no, sorry. I waited like 2 hours to answer him because I was in line. And then I text him back. I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, never mind. I don't need it now. And I'm like, what the world? He's like,
Passive
what line
aggressive.
Are you in? And I'm like, oh, I'm in the Pokemon line. And he's like, oh, okay. And next thing you know, they just walk up and they're like, hey. I was like,
well, so I didn't know I was going to E3 until, you know, like 48 hours before. Oftentimes businesses, in this case, it was Facebook Gaming or Oculus specifically that sent me out. Mm-hmm. And I knew because Robo had messaged me like a week earlier that he was going, and I was like, I'm just not going to tell him until I'm actually there. And then I was acting like I was interested in whatever he was waiting in line for, whereas in reality it was just to know where he was so I could meet up to him. That was the first time we met in person. But yeah, we've been friends obviously because of shared interest in Unturned at the time, and so that's always kind of a gateway into being friends with each other, and that's liking the same game. And
which E3 was this?
That's really
like
about
recently?
it. And this is 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, 3. Wow. I didn't realize you guys had known each other that long. That's awesome.
I think Robo had like 10,000 subs at the time when I first met. Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Unturned
you actually
is very small.
I was revisiting this last night on stream, and you actually left a comment on like my 10 or 25,000 subscriber Q&A, and you were like, I don't remember what you said, but you weren't even verified at the time. So I don't even know how long ago that was, because you've been verified on YouTube forever.
Yeah, 4 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah, probably.
That was probably about. That should add up. Yeah, probably 90,000 subs at the time or something.
Yeah.
Now, have you guys ever like collaborated on video? Have you ever done anything together?
I think so.
No,
surely we
I
have.
don't think so.
Just
maybe on like accident, not necessarily accident, but like I'll do videos where it's like friends and multiplayer and stuff, and I'm sure Robo is in there. Surely. No, let me look this up.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't think we've actually collabed before, Tyler.
All right, well, we'll do it tomorrow then.
Okay.
See, that could be the next step. And
hey, that means you're gonna upload again.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you do Unturned, and then I heard you say Oculus, and I was looking at your channel, and you have some really, really cool VR stuff on there. So we're going to get into that in a few minutes, because I was laughing my ass off at some of your Payday stuff. That was
Thank you.
Absolutely hilarious. I was just cracking up in my office, and my kids come in, they're like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, "You can't see any of this. Get out of here. You can't
I do
watch
try
any
to
of
keep
this."
them like somewhat family friendly, but like how family friendly can you be when you're robbing a bank? Like,
yeah, it was more the visuals than the audio.
Right.
That was not. So what originally led you to go to YouTube as a creative medium? Like, what was that thing that you're like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do videos?
Well, oh gosh, in freshman year, I always liked computers, and so I watched YouTube all from basically 2006. Like, I mean, I was 8 years old and watching just the dumb Charlie Bit Your Finger and all that dumb crap. I liked making videos. I liked when I hung out with friends, we'd play with cameras, we'd make videos, and I would post these videos to channels which I will never tell anyone ever, that I think are still there, when I was like 8, 10, 12 years old. But it wasn't until freshman year that I thought, no, absolutely not. Wasn't until freshman year that I had actually found out that you could join the YouTube partner program, and that you could actually earn money on videos that you made. And I thought, like, wow, this can be more than just a putting crap out there. It can be more of like a way to express your creativity and actually work towards something, and that is to like eventually, have it be your job or whatever, or be able to financially support yourself. And so I had already loved creating videos. I had saved up all my money to get a Roxio Game Capture HD, which was the hottest thing at the time. It came in and replaced the Hauppauge HD PVR, and I bought that, and I started making Call of Duty videos and just terrible stuff. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of it. I go to school and people would make fun of me, but I didn't care. It wasn't until about sophomore year, which I think is 2016, that Josiah actually showed me Unturned, and I looked at it and I said, there's a lot of people playing this game, and not a lot of people that don't know how to play it. They don't know, because it's like there's fairly complicated in Unturned 2.0, fairly complicated crafting mechanics and complicated ways to find stuff. And so I figured I'd post videos on at least showing people how to get started on that kind of stuff.
I always joke with Robo when we talk about it. I always call it low poly rust. That's kind of gives
me
that vibe.
It basically is. And it's hard because it's appealing to kids because it's low poly, but it's not appealing to kids in that it's hard to get into. It's hard to understand. It's hard to know how to build a house. And so the first thing these kids would do is they'd go on YouTube and they'd search how to build a house Unturned. And at the time, mine was the video. And so it ended up getting like 700,000 views in a week. You also got to realize I had like 1,500 subs at the time, so it was insane.
That's even a lot for like a channel like your size now.
Yeah, and I was like, holy crap! And so I just kept doing Unturned for ages. I knew that people, and then it sort of became like more of a identifying character in the Unturned space. So I felt like, all right, I should definitely be there in the Unturned community, I'd say. And I love the game, so I had absolutely no issue with that. I played it all the time, and it was great because whenever I went to go play it, I'm like, all right, might as well record it as well. And so that's what I stuck with for 4 years, and then went on to VR and whatnot.
So did you basically? You said you kind of started with doing like Call of Duty and stuff, which I feel is like every YouTuber that started in the
it was
last
just
what 8 years has been Call of Duty.
Yeah, it was just laying out, like, I'd like to imagine it like I was laying out a fishing net, just huge until something worked. Like,
Yeah.
I'd do Call of Duty, I'd do Grand Theft Auto, I'd do Minecraft, all of which were, at the time I thought I was really onto something, but obviously that was not. I mean, I guess in 2012, like, it's better than doing that now, I'd say. But
Yeah.
and the thing that eventually caught was Unturned. I was like excited to see that people were enjoying the stuff that I was making, because before I would post, Call of Duty, and it would just be me and Josiah that would watch it, and then maybe a few of my friends from school, and it would just be like, it would be sort of a way to share videos with my friends. And it was like the first time where random people were coming across my videos, and it was something special, I'd say.
Yeah, I didn't even know what Unturned was until Robo was telling me about it, and then I went and looked at it. And I used to play a lot of Rust. I was really into Rust, and Ark was the first survival game I played, and when I realized that was a terrible game, I switched to Rust, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool."
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about a dinosaur eating me. What's that?
Have you tried Unturned?
No, I haven't, but I want to. I really want to give it a shot. It looks like it would be a lot of fun. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to do that. Now that I know people who can like get me, teach me how to not be.
It's been a while for me though, so it'll.
Dude, I'm rusty, and I played it probably more recently than you have, Tyler.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'll have to rewatch some of my own videos. It's good that I put them down there as tutorials, because they are set in stone.
But I think what you said there though is important too, especially for people who are exploring YouTube or exploring streaming as like a creative medium, is to find something that you enjoy, but it doesn't have to be like, oh, I just stumbled into this and I got lucky because no one was doing this. I mean, look at how you can bring value to the community for whatever it is you ultimately choose to be sort of your content focus. For you, like you said, it was Unturned, and it was this great formula where you have a younger audience playing the game that looks very appealing for a younger audience, but then they find out like, oh, this is actually kind of challenging. It's not a super easy game like it looks. Yeah. And you just had that perfect formula and it worked out. But I think it's great for a great lesson for others too, is to find something you enjoy, but also like see if there's something unique that you can do with that thing to really pop out.
Yeah, if you start noticing that you're not enjoying something, whatever game it is that you're playing, it definitely shows in the content that you make. And I started getting to that point after about, I would say, 4 years of Unturned. It started getting a little repetitive. There was only so much you can cover in a single game. I did find something continuous in that I was kind of the only person that was covering all the new updates coming to the game. So I was kind of always the update guy. Every Friday, I would sort of condense everything that was new in the game in an easy to digest formula in a video that was, around or under 10 minutes long. But even then, it's like, it got to the point where I ran out of stuff creatively to do on the game. So it ended up just being the update videos every week. And I didn't want to just be this news source of this game. And so I ended up trying to push more of my creative stuff towards other games. And I started pushing out towards, I mean, looking here, I did some Gary's Mod videos and some Forest videos, and they didn't do very well.
Forest was cool.
But I started pushing out my net again until something caught, and it was VR in this case. And so that was my next step, is I was like, now I can have something new that I can express my creativity on, something more story based.
Let's talk about VR. How big is VR on YouTube right now? Is it like blowing up? I mean, because I know like VR had like this resurgence, in the last few years.
Right now it's starting to slow down, but
yeah,
2-3 years ago, absolutely massive. Because the difference here is that VR, you don't have to be into video games to at least understand the concept of it, because it's appealing. You can look at it and everybody knows, okay, this is like you're playing a game that you wear a headset of, and it's just a new concept, a very expensive piece of technology as well. So not a lot of people can experience it. So a lot of people are interested in understanding what it is or how it works and what it looks like. And so there were a lot of people just searching VR videos or VR gameplay. And so, I mean, some of these videos that ended up getting posted had around 10 million views. I mean, some of them 14 million. I mean, they were definitely beyond just gaming viral. It was just standard viral videos, I would say.
Yeah. Is there like, at what point did you start noticing that there was a big uptick in the availability of games on VR? Because I know that was like a real issue. Like at first it was sort of the hardware was the issue, and then Oculus and what is it, Vive, or I forget the name.
There's now the three big players are the Valve Index, the HTC Vive, and the Oculus Rift.
Okay.
Now they're still struggling with games, I'd say. Half-Life Alyx is a big step in the right direction.
That looked amazing.
Showing game companies that it is possible to put a lot of money and effort into a game and release it on such a small niche product and still be successful. They were kind of the first person to say, hey, look, this is possible. And I hope that more people look at that and say, all right, let's, start considering VR as an outlet for our games. But it's still, there's a lot of shovelware in the VR space. There are a few gems, and I try and like do videos on just that stuff. But even then, it's hard. Like now, especially, that's part of why videos have really slowed down. I need to start casting my net again, basically, because it's starting to get hard to find some really quality games in the VR world, at least that fit my content style, where I like sort of telling a story within a game. And so it has to be open, at least in some regard.
So is there anything you've kind of got your eyes set on, anything that's interesting to you right now, or are you still just sort of in that, just sort of speculating a little bit?
I don't know. I do like how it, like the topic of, or the idea of telling a story in a game, or at least having sort of a setting, a rising action, a climax, and a resolution, like a traditional feature-length film, except it's only in 10 minutes. I'm looking for games that aren't necessarily, they don't have to be VR, but just games where I can sort of tell a little story like that. I've thought about maybe like GTA RP, where I can maybe make my own little guy that maybe tries to rob a convenience store and it goes terribly wrong, and it sort of unfolds over 10 minutes of what the events happen there. But games like that. But and then I thought maybe about finding a specific game like Unturned or something others, and that I can focus more on like, be it updates or whatever, to be more focused on that, because it's hard being so creatively open. How do I find, it's like I got to look at a blank sheet of paper and figure out and write a script from nothing, and so it's kind of hard to. It's definitely harder to make these videos that I make now than it is to do the update videos from 4 years ago, where every Friday something new would come out and I'd condense the information.
Yeah, so talk a little bit. You mentioned a few things there I think are really interesting. Talk a little bit about like what your creative process is like. Like let's say you have an idea and you're ready to. Actually, let's use a real example. So one of the videos that I watched, I think I mentioned it before, was the Payday VR. Like that, okay. I thought that was hilarious, like the bank robbery and everything. So kind of talk me through that process a little bit. Like, what's that like? You're like, all right, I'm going to do a Payday bank heist video. How does that then play out for you? What's that process?
Yeah. So in the case of a Payday video, like those are perfect. I love those. I'll play the heist. I'll play it with my friend. I'll play it with Josiah. I'll go through the whole thing. It'll take about an hour, and I'll do a rough cut of the video. And I'll then at that point look at it and I say, okay, here's the story. We're going in and we're robbing whatever and we're leaving. But those videos are portrayed as if they are one take, but they are actually more like 5 or 6, where we will play the mission like 4 or 5 times, cracking jokes in different ways. And then I'll do a condensed cut of the best moments from that and make it seem like it was all one playing.
Well, you did a good job, because I didn't realize
that. Yeah, that's like the number one goal is to make it look like it was all one play, because it's hard to be that funny for like,
it's like straight through.
And so it's kind of hard to explain without seeing it in person, but like when you're playing the heist, there'll be moments where it would have been cooler if that guy ran around the corner right then when you took the gun out, or when you right when you got the money bags, you guys or somebody accidentally shot something and now everyone is onto you and now you got to go everything quick. And so I'll look at that and say, okay, let's restart the level and let's intentionally have something happen at this moment to escalate the situation. And so we'll do that in whatever it is. Like when we stole the in the video where we're stealing these Lamborghinis, it seems like it was intentional, or that it was accidental, that I drove that Lamborghini into the trailer when there was literally 3 seconds left and got in there. But that was all methodical, is that we wanted the timer to be set right then and there. And then if I drove as fast as I did and hit this wall right when I did and crack this joke, I would get there when there was 3 seconds left, and then it would be an epic climactic ending to the video. And those are the moments where I enjoy, when like I can get all that right and edit it to where it looks like it was all one play session. And that's just for payday. And, for the forest, it's a little more difficult because it's so open. But generally, that's the thought process. And there's always tons of sound foley and music that has been synced up to everything that's happening. Mm-hmm. Generally, all the sounds you hear in the video are not sounds from the actual game. They are like fabricated to emphasize certain moments that you'd like, that would be comical to hear.
Oh man,
if I accidentally I'm like shoot wondering someone now, like, in the head.
How many videos have I watched now where I'm just like, shit, that wasn't real. Like, it felt like so real. But
here, the Contagion video, everything in that is fake. The for some reason that game plays this terrible piano song once you leave the door. And it just doesn't fit the theme at all. And I knew it was going to be a good video, but this music just ruined it. So I just deleted the game audio and redid all the game audio so that I could put my own music on top. And their game audio wasn't even that good in the first place, to be honest. So it made it better, I thought.
That had to take a ton of time though, right?
It does take a lot of time. These videos would take, I would say, a week to 2 weeks to make, but they got a lot of views, so it was worth it. Like, to me, is it's a lot of these videos at the time would get 3, 4, 5, 6 million views. So I definitely wanted to spend the extra time because there's a lot of eyeballs on these.
So you obviously weren't doing that stuff in the beginning. So when you first started making videos, like, was there a point where you're just like, wouldn't it be cooler if I did this? And it just like gradually built up to like a Contagion video where you're just like, fuck it, I'll just redo the whole thing.
Yeah, like I tried back then, but when they'd only get like 80,000 views, I said, okay, maybe it's not worth my time and investment to try so hard making these videos the way that I want them to make them, knowing that nobody's going to appreciate them the way that I do. If I can just in 3 days post a little update video that takes literally 30 minutes to make, and it will get double the views. So it was a little discouraging, but I still had those there as creative just stimulus. And it wasn't until I, whatever it happened to be that week where I had posted an update video and I was like, okay, now that I did the update video and now I can start being creative again, I decided to do a VR video on this FPS game. And I posted that, and that one got 1 million views. And I was like, okay, well, next week I'm going to try and do more creative stuff. And it eventually got to the point where my creative projects in the midweek were getting more views than the update videos every Friday. Yeah. And so I just started shifting towards the creative ones more often, and I'd spend more time on them. And as I spent more time on them, more people watched them. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do more time on them. And it kind of just kept that going for a while.
Was your audience like giving you direction at this point? Like, were you paying attention? Were the comments actually useful, or was it just like, YouTube
like in an indirect way? They would use timestamps to talk about their favorite moment, as not knowing the amount of time that went into even have that moment exist in the first place. And so I knew that I was like, okay, well, I'll try and sort of shoehorn those kinds of moments in the first place, where somebody would do a timestamp and be like, how crazy was it that this happened or whatever. And so I'll be like, I'm so happy that someone appreciated that moment, because sometimes I'll spend so much time to make something happen in a video where it was so subtle, and like some people might not do the little timestamp thing. But those are my favorite comments, is where someone does a timestamp of a specific moment in the video and then they react to that. And I'll look at that section. I'll know exactly what I had to edit or whatever to emphasize that moment.
I feel like that's sorry, real guy. I feel like that's such an interesting thing, because there's like, like you watch movies too. I think it's really easy to kind of use the Marvel movies as an example of this, because there's so much CGI in those movies. But there'll be like a scene and you'll be like, oh, wasn't that cool when Captain America picked up Mjolnir and carried around Thor's hammer? Like, yeah, it was neat. And like, all right, that's it. And then you move on.
Yeah.
It took someone like a really long time to put that together. And they're like, I can just imagine, like, if you were the guy or the gal that was putting that together and that scene, and you're like, man, I can't wait, because they've seen it 1,000 times. And then it goes to the theater and they're like, I can't wait till someone sees this. And then you see their reaction. And then you go online and you see social media and everyone's like, Cat picked up Thor's, like, that it's kind of, maybe on a smaller scale, but it's just like, it's kind of neat to see.
Well, it's all
like,
very similar things. Oftentimes as a filmmaker, your objective is to make something as seamless as possible. So all your work is to make it not noticeable, especially in the world of CGI. Like your objective is to make it as not noticeable as possible. And
exactly.
I think it would be, obviously I don't think I have any interest in filmmaking, but if I were to make a film, I think being there on the premiere of said film would be a very magical experience.
Oh, it'd be the best.
People
I think it'd be the best.
Something that you've been working on, and then wondering, I wonder if they'll like this moment as much as I did when I made it or whatever. Because I do notice when I'm watching the premieres, because I would premiere a lot of these videos as well. It was kind of a similar vibe where you could watch the chat react to moments on them. But as I started getting
is that
bigger,
like a YouTube feature?
So when you upload a video, you can choose to premiere it, and it will just play it once live for everyone, where people can live react to it. And once the video concludes, it is then on your channel as just a regular YouTube video.
That's pretty cool.
You can watch it and comment on it. When I first started doing these little cinematic videos, when I premiere them, the chat was actually pretty, like, they were reacting to it and it was funny, and I could sort of appreciate it as if I was going to a red carpet premiere of a feature-length film. But then as the channel got a little bit bigger, the chat just goes so fast, and then it's just like people like spamming emotes, and it like you kind of lost that. So I stopped premiering them, and I just would post them. It's not too big of a deal, but it was kind of fun to see.
Well, that's one of the biggest complaints with streaming too, is the whole, like, once you start watching a smaller streamer, and then you're like, man, I want this person to blow up, I want them to get big, I want them to grow, and then they do, and then you come to watch them one day and their chat, you're just like, it's not the same anymore.
You lose that engagement. That's my favorite thing about streaming, is talking with the chat. And I don't know what I would do if that ability was lost. I don't know.
See, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up too, is because I was kind of in the same boat with you. Well, I don't know if it was the same boat, but the boat I was in was, as my channel got a lot bigger, I felt like I was losing the interaction with my audience that I once had. And I was, because I couldn't answer all the comments. I couldn't, and it kind of sucks. So recently I actually started streaming. And I completely agree with what you're saying there. Like, yeah, I have like no followers when I'm streaming because I use Trovo, which nobody uses. But even with the small amount of viewers I have, it's just so satisfying to be able to go in and, like, see all the chat, see all the comments. And it kind of brings back that feeling of like being a small creator. And because of that, I wanted to ask, is that kind of the reason that you've been streaming as well? Is to, like, regain
that's pretty
some
much
of that
exactly it. And that's intentionally why I stream on Twitch as opposed to directly on my YouTube channel. Is I know, like, 7 usernames of people that come to my chat every stream. It's just, it's kind of hard to explain. It's just like, I have so much fun. I feel like I'm hanging out with friends rather than just sort of being put up on a pedestal and playing games for people. It feels like I can really connect and talk with people about something that I'm passionate about, or whatever video game I'm interested in, or whatever current events I'm talking about. And it's like this constant conversation that's going on between the viewers. I mean, I only get like 50, 60 viewers because I intentionally try not to really advertise it as much. I mean, I'll advertise it on Twitter, which I know at least people who are like really interested in what I have to say, they'll go there. But I try and stay away a little bit from, like, I'm not going to post a video on my YouTube channel just saying, okay, everybody, come watch my Twitch streams, because that might be a bit too much. But
Yeah.
I really like the sort of low-key thing that Twitch is.
Yeah, I feel that honestly a lot because, like I said, I'm kind of in the exact same situation as you with that. Like, I don't really want to like go full on like promoting it in every single post and like getting everybody to join, because if that was the case, I would just do it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But speaking of YouTube, like, would you say that you have a different outlook on streaming because of your YouTube success compared to somebody who
I
would be
haven't really
streaming to
talked
try
to
to grow?
someone. Yeah, like I haven't really met very many people in the Twitch space, so I don't really know what the Twitch mindset is. I let a lot of people know when I'm streaming on Twitch that I like don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm very out of place on there. I don't know. I do treat it very differently than I do on YouTube. I treat it as like, I don't know, my little backyard. It's just sort of my relaxing place, I suppose. I do. I mean, I guess I do see a lot of people that are like really hounding, trying to grow their channel on Twitch, but I view it more as like an escape. It's like,
I think
I don't know.
it's an interesting dynamic. You said a couple things there. You were like, yeah, I only get like 50 viewers. There are people who have streamed on Twitch for years, and they're struggling to get 20, 25 viewers. And for them, it's kind of like what you said though. It's the same mentality. You're like, I like it. It's fun. It's my backyard. I just go there to relax. I do my thing. I'm not trying to like blow up on Twitch. I'm just having a good time. I think that's interesting that you can have creators at completely different levels, right? Of like,
Yeah.
like they're like, you're coming off of YouTube with what, 1.2 million subscribers. There's people I've seen really interesting videos and streams of big YouTubers who've been like, yeah, I'm gonna go stream, it's no big deal. And they get on there and they're like, whoa, wait, what's going on? There's people are talking, things are moving, I'm not editing this is like all happening, and I don't really have a whole lot of control over it. This is completely different than what I'm accustomed to.
It is very different.
Yeah, and it there's a learning curve and everything there, and I think it's important too that people understand that and realize that it's not, like, just because you're doing incredibly well on YouTube doesn't mean that just you're going over to Twitch and it's just like, yeah, slam dunk, here I am, I'm killing this platform now too. It's a different platform, it's a different medium, it's a different type of content creation. And for you, someone who's coming from a world where you do all that production and all that thought and analysis goes into your videos, and it shows, you create great videos and your audience loves it, and you've built a great channel on top of that. That process on Twitch is just demonstrably different. And I think it's important for people to like realize that. And it goes the other way too. Like a lot of streamers are just like, I'm just gonna start throwing videos up on YouTube. And what do? They just grab a VOD, slap it on YouTube,
and just throw a little thing on there.
Yeah, like, here's my stream. And as someone who, I don't stream, but as someone who has watched streams pretty much every day for the last like 10 years, that's almost my sole form of like, live entertainment, if you'll call it, if you will. There is something to be said about watching an actual live stream versus a recorded live stream, because in your mind, you're still just thinking like, this isn't live. I want live, right? This may as well just be just another recording, because that's what it is. I want the real thing. Yep. I want the interaction. I want the surprise. I don't want to be able to fast forward, right? I don't want that temptation.
Yeah, I feel like on YouTube it is sort of, you want all the highlights, you want all the high action stuff presented to you in a short time period. On Twitch, you're spending hours there and you're sort of connecting with the streamer in real time, as if they are someone over at your house or as if they are a friend. And that's where I don't know if you, Robo, or someone, I'm not entirely sure I understand the reason why you would watch someone who's got like 50,000-60,000 followers on there. I mean, like viewers that are just watching, and the chat is just flying. Like, it's not my thing, but I do want to know what, I want to learn about that whole spectrum of things. To me, YouTube is where you go to watch small, short videos that are entertaining, that you could watch in the toilet and you're done, and that's it. Twitch is where you go when you want to hang out with someone and talk with them and talk about and spend time with them. But if you lose that interaction, then you're just sort of watching a really slow, like a really slow version of YouTube. It's like, I don't know. And so when I'm streaming on Twitch, I try to emphasize as much as possible interacting, hanging out, talking about interests, and, playing games as well. And so it works for me, but I don't know what I would do if it got too big. I'd try and maybe juggle or something, put on a show. I don't know.
See, when I think like big Twitch, I'm the same way as you. I don't really watch big Twitch streamers. I don't really see the appeal. There's very few that I will watch. Dr. Disrespect was one of them because he's entertaining.
He's like,
it's like watching it's literally like watching a high action YouTube video nonstop. The guy's a legend, rest in peace, was a legend. Him and Summit.
Undecided yet. They're still
undecided. Or actually just nobody really knows.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation. But him, Summit, and then every once in a while I would go and watch like Ninja. I don't like him anymore. This is when he was like growing. But
he's skillful though. He's really good. Yeah. Those are exceptions when someone is really good at the game that they're playing, or in the case of Dr. Disrespect, a very, very rare exception where he's genuinely entertaining for every minute of every hour for like 5-6 hours straight. And that is something I will never be able to do.
It's got to be exhausting. Like I even saw,
insane.
Dude, he loves it though. It's probably like
of course.
It's easy when he's playing a character. I don't want to say easy. It's easier when he's sort of separating himself, the guy of him in real life, and then Dr. Disrespect, the character, and he can sort of play that character of high energy, getting angry or whatever, as the mustache and the Google prototype glasses. I think it would be a little easier in that regard, but still very impressive what he does.
I don't want to go like too far down this wormhole, but I want to run this by you guys. So how long has Dr. Disrespect been doing his thing? Like with the doc, like what, 4 or 5 years? Something like that?
At least, yeah.
On Twitch, yeah, but I think
he was on YouTube before that.
I think he did COD commentary before he even did Twitch.
Yeah, so
he's been in the content creation space for a while.
With something like that, I wonder if the doc is like, I wonder if he ever slowly starts feeling himself turning into the doc in real life when you're playing that part for 8 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I guarantee
that has to be interesting.
I notice that sometimes with myself when I'll finish recording for hours upon hours. It's something, because when I'm recording, I'm always in that mindset of how can I make this funny, and I'll be like overly cracking jokes just for content, just for fillers, so that way I can choose among all kinds of things. And I'll notice sometimes I'll catch myself when I'm done recording and friends are coming over, I'll like keep cracking way too many jokes, and I'll just and I'll be like, oh, that I gotta like slow way down. And in his case, it's probably so much worse. He
just pulls up to McDonald's and he just starts acting like the doc at McDonald's.
Yeah, when the ice cream machine's broken.
I mean, if he really has that problem though, at that point he should just IRL stream constantly, because I mean it's just an endless fountain of content. At that point.
Absolutely. I'm sure his wife and kids probably wouldn't like that, but it would work really well.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that I don't like about that. Were there any when you switched to streaming? Did you go right to Twitch? Did you try YouTube? I think it was probably YouTube Gaming.
I've streamed
at that point.
A few times on YouTube Gaming. There's just a lot of people that watch when I stream on YouTube Gaming.
Like carryover from your audience, or
yeah, because it goes live on my channel, so it gets sent out to 1.2 million people. I mean, generally there'll be more like 1,000 or 2,000 people watching, and I lose that interaction, and I'm not really good at games. I mean, I'm all right, but I don't think I'm very entertaining from a gaming standpoint or just from a pure entertainer standpoint. I just like, hanging out with people. So I definitely shifted over to Twitch. I enjoy it on Twitch. Right around that 50 to 100 viewer standpoint, I really enjoy that. I don't think I can financially support myself if that was my only thing, but I've got the YouTube. I'd like to maybe, because there's been so many moments on Twitch where there's been funny stuff that happens, just like they do on my videos. I've been thinking about maybe the games that I play on Twitch, I can maybe treat it more like the way that I record those creative spaces, and then when I'm done, I'll edit it seamlessly as if you didn't know that it was actually originally streamed into content on the YouTube channel. I don't know. There's some ideas there, but I swapped over to Twitch because it's a little more low key, and I like it there.
I do want to ask one thing. I just thought about this. So I know on your Twitch streams you don't use a face cam. Is there a reason that you don't do that, or is it just
because I don't own one? I should get one. I really should. Yeah. I've actually been thinking about it for a really long time. I don't really. The thing is that I don't want to like cheap out on it. I've got a DSLR around here somewhere. I need to figure out lenses. I need to figure out lighting. I need to figure out background. I need to hook up Cam Link. I need to redo all my overlays, and that way they fit that as well. But I'd like to. I think it helps a lot with interaction. I think it helps, at least from a viewer standpoint. It makes it a little better to watch. But yes, it's I would like it for sure.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. So
we did a community survey a couple years ago, and one of the questions that we asked on there, it was specific to the streaming community. One of the questions we asked on there is like, what is it that streamers can do that once you as a viewer are in their channel? And we segmented out the survey. At the beginning, we asked, do you primarily stream? Do you primarily watch? And so this was a viewer specific question. And we said, is there, what can streamers do once you're in their channel? What can they do to keep you there? And we gave them this list. It was a pretty long list, but it wasn't like maybe like 10 items or something like that. And the overwhelming response was face cam, like by like massive percent. It wasn't even close. They're like, obviously mic was one, but we kind of discounted the mic as like, okay, if you don't have a mic, you probably shouldn't stream.
Yeah. That would be a
right.
Little,
yeah. Well, I think we've probably all watched a streamer who doesn't have a mic, and it's just like, you're typing, they're typing, and you're like, oh, this is a little weird.
It's like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah. I have to type it, and then I have to wait for you to type it. Like, no.
Yeah, jeez.
But the face cam was a really, really, really big thing. And, we've seen that kind of anecdotally over the years, just kind of paying attention to different communities and how they talk and what they ask for and things that are important to them. And the face cam just tends to be one of those things. And it's interesting because there's a good chunk of streamers out there that do perfectly fine without one. But I think, to your point from earlier, though, I think it does put a little more pressure on the content creator to just up their game a little bit more, because there's something to be said. Like even this show, right? Like we're doing this right now. This is video. We're not recording the video yet. We're going to eventually. We're not doing that now, but just being able to see each other, there's a different level of interactiveness that you get when you're able to do that. And I think that plays through in streams so well. And years ago, it was common to go on Twitch in the early days. It was common to go on Twitch and not see very many face cams because there weren't a ton of really good ones out there, for one, but then also just people were just still a little bit like, I don't know if I want to show you my face.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, now everyone's got, TikTok and Snap and all this other stuff, it's just, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I do notice that because at the end of my streams, I like to raid, just to, help somebody else out that's a little bit smaller. And as I'm scrolling through, I find myself clicking on the ones with face cams that you can see the reaction when they get raided. And then that sort of makes it realize to me, it's like, maybe I should really start focusing on, my face cam solution, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be more inclined to click on my streams if there was a face cam there.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. I noticed one thing as I was kind of just doing my homework before did the recording and everything, but I noticed that you had taken some time off for a while, and I saw your community was just like post videos.
Yeah.
Was that because of just trying to figure out the content play, or was it just because you just needed some time, or
a little bit of, I needed some time. I was moving, a few family deaths. It was just like a time where it was just like, I really don't want to be just dedicating all my time towards content right now. And then once I felt comfortable again, it was just like, all right, let's pick up the headset again. Let's make some videos. A lot of people would be super happy to see that content, and sure enough, they were. So I'm glad they stayed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was around 8 months. I think it was pretty rough, actually.
Well, it's good that you're back, and I'm excited that now I know you and know about you, and I've subscribed, and I'm looking forward to the content. I had a lot of fun today going through that, but we're probably going to wrap it here. But one sort of parting shot. If there's someone who's kind of looking at YouTube as, you know, a creative medium, or just making videos, let's say it's not YouTube, maybe it's something else, or looking at creating videos and getting into that space, what advice would you give them today? You know, summer 2020, coronavirus, and the world's on fire. What would you tell them?
Well, now would be the time to do it because, you know, you're at home. But I would say, you know, to literally take out a piece of paper and write down all the things that you enjoy, whatever hobby it is, whatever game it is, whatever things you like to tinker with, or what passions you have, be it music or even specific music you listen to or whatever, literally everything that defines you in regards to the things you like, and put a hyphen next to them, and write down ways that you can share that with other people, whether it's streaming or creating videos or whatever it is. People like to see people enjoy the things that they do with hobbies or whatever. And so as if you are just sharing whatever makes you, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in that. If you enjoy Unturned, like Robo and me, if you enjoy VR like me, post stuff on that. And I think people will be interested. At least do something to channel your creative energy, because it's YouTube and the internet is like ready to take all that.
Ready to take all that. I like that. It's good way to end it. Robo, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, not really. I mean, basically, if you're asking for advice, that's really good advice. So
there you go. Awesome. Well, MeLikeBigBoom, man, thank you so much, dude. This has been an absolute blast. Appreciate you taking the time to come on here. Before we go, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, so if you go to youtube.com/MeLikeBigBoom, that'll be my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter. The username is XMeLikeBigBoom. A guy named Julian took my Twitter handle. That's another story. But and then on Twitch, it's MeLikeBigBoom. My username on everything is MeLikeBigBoom. I try to make it that for everything. So you can always find me by just Googling MeLikeBigBoom, and you'll find all my outlets there. So YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, even Instagram is where I show my car stuff, because that's something I'm passionate about too. So I encourage people to share whatever they're passionate about. Yeah, you can check me out on all those stuff.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us, and definitely check this guy out. He's done some really fantastic content, and you know, we wouldn't have him on the show if he hadn't. So that wraps up this episode of the StreamKick Podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, if you hated what you heard, that's fine too. Tell us all about it. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and Podchaser are great places to leave feedback. We do pay attention. We do read that stuff, and it does help us make a better show. So thank you very much. Where you can find us, we are on Twitter and Instagram at StreamKickPod. That's StreamKickPod. On the web at StreamKick.com, and on Facebook at Watch StreamKick. And Robo, where can everyone find you, man?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on YouTube, RoboKast, RoboKast, and same username over on Twitter.
Right on. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.